It seems the positive sentiment around the Greek vote really becoming evident this morning. We started to see that euro-dollar breaking past 145. I think we're sitting just below that level at this stage of the game. Your reading of the market activity we're seeing on the currency front on the back of that Greek vote?
Morning, Alishia. Well, as expected, the rand and euro strengthened after that announcement. We had anticipated that the rand might move down from where it opened yesterday, which was the low 680s, and move down to the 670 region, and it currently is trading at about 678. So that was certainly in line with our expectations. The dollar, of course, weakened after that announcement. The dollar had recently been benefiting from its safe haven status, but as soon as markets began to take heart, began to get more optimistic about the chances that the Greek Parliament would ratify this bailout deal, and then the rand and euro strengthened in tandem.
Well, the rand seeing increasing strength filter through. We're sitting at about 675 at this stage of the game. What are the chances of breaking that 670 mark today?
Well, a lot will depend, of course, on what happens to SA data now that the situation in the Eurozone seems temporarily under control. Should we have PPI data that comes out later, should that surprise to the upside, that might heighten expectations of an earlier than expected interest rate tightening cycle from the SARB, and that, of course, might lead to further rand strength.
Of course, we've got PPI forecast suggesting 7.1% is what we're looking at later today. Standard Bank maintaining its position at 7%?
Alishia, was slightly higher than the market consensus. We penciled in a rate of 7.3%, and that's mainly because the previous month's data for April was unusually soft, and we think that there could be therefore a greater risk of an upside surprise than today's number.
Of course, we have seen credit extension numbers and M3 money supply data filter through already. Market reaction to that, where we've seen a slowing down in credit extension specifically.
Well, that certainly was unexpected. We had anticipated a further acceleration, particularly in credit extension. But the fact that it's come in softer than expected is going to play into interest rate expectations as well. With a softer than expected number, that should mute expectations that the SARB is going to act on rates imminently. But of course, we're still waiting on the PPI data. So we'd have to wait and see whether the PPI does in fact surprise to the upside.
Of course, at this stage, Nomvuyo, where's a Standard Bank's house view sitting in terms of when we could expect that tightening cycle to begin?
Alishia, we've been consistent. We've maintained our view that the first change in rates is going to only occur in the first quarter of next year, and then we see the SARB tightening by 50 basis points sequentially after that for a total of 200 basis points next year.
When it comes down to it, how much attention really is going to be paid to today's economic data, where, of course, as you said, we've got the second vote in Greece underway, and then also US weekly jobless claims data being anticipated later this afternoon?
No, absolutely, Alishia. I do think that there will be quite a bit of focus paid to local data because it's such important tier one data. There's PPI, but also we shouldn't forget that there's trade data coming out later in the afternoon. So I think as far as the rand market is concerned, today's developments are going to be pretty important because these are some of the last bits of data out before the next MPC meeting, which takes place in the middle of next month.